How do you learn who you really are? It's not found in books, it's found on the battlefield. What's up, warriors? Welcome back, Battlefield of the Mind. And I'm back with my brother, J.R. Harvey, the King's Community. And we've been teaming up for months now. We've been teaming up. We locked our shields together with our communities, with the Warriors Way mindset and the King's Community. And we're going to share some stuff today, because we've been building some things and creating and helping, and we're working with men all over the world. JR, welcome back on the show. How you doing, bro?
Pleasure to be back. Thank you for having me. And yeah, it's really cool what we're doing, man. It's been a fun ride so far, seeing the guys make some really serious changes within. I mean, it's only been a month here, you know. So let's dive into that. Let's talk about some of the common issues we're seeing, and I really want to pick your brain on some things as well that I've got jotted down here. So I'm excited to chat today.
Hell yeah. So what we created with JR and I is we created a program in our mentor program, a teaching program where we combine both our communities. We called it Crown and Shield, the Crown and Shield training. And so Crown because of the King's Community, the Shield because of the Warriors Way mindset. And we put it together for both our groups to go, anybody who wants to train, we will teach. We've made it extremely affordable to do so, because it's about need, not greed, and we want to help as many people as possible. So we really made the investment point, or the skin in the game, extremely affordable. So that way you guys can get top-notch education, literally for pennies. It's bananas what we're doing. But yeah, JR, fire off some questions or some experiences that you've been seeing just in like our first month of doing this. Of like, man, I've been noticing and I've seen, and we've also had we've had to go into battle also together to save some people through some pretty serious things. So yeah, fire off a question or even share an experience.
One of the things that I wanted to bring up, and I see it more and more the more I work with the guys, is guys who get stuck in sexless marriages, and oftentimes by the time we meet them, sometimes it's been 5 or 10 years of that with no sex at all, right? And I was looking up some studies on this. So there's a 2018 study from the Archive of Sexual Behavior. It says 15% of married couples have not had sex in the past year.
That's
And then,
crazy.
and then listen to this. A 2022 article in Psychology Today estimates that 25 to 50% of married couples have sex less than 10 times a year.
That's why
So my question to you is, what do you think are the common causes of that?
okay.
And you know, like, why is that happening?
All right, I got a couple parts of this. All right, first part, before like what are the common causes,
Hmm.
the first part is like, how are you guys getting to sleep if you guys aren't fucking each other? I don't understand. That's what you do before you get some sleep. How are you guys not understanding the serotonin, the oxytocin release, the way that the dopamine rush, the connection, and all of these things? How are you guys skipping all of that? It's awesome. It's awesome. Second piece to this too, I don't understand the concept of saying, I commit myself to you. My body is your body. You're an extension of me. We are one. We're married and we become unified. And then this is where I get into something that my girl and I are writing on right now, which is like opposite love languages. One of the opposite love languages for touch is restriction. And why did we start adding restriction to the one person in the world? I said, it's just you and me, that like nobody touches these bathing suit areas except for you. I commit myself, mind, heart, body, spirit to you. That does include body. That's mine. And like my girl and I are hard touch. We're heavy touch. We're very, no one's ever been around us and go like, these two don't touch. Like we're always holding hands, always touching. Every photo we're in, nothing, there's no time we're not. Anybody's ever been around knows that we're very, very physical with each other. I don't understand why I would say I commit myself to you and then restrict you from commitment. I don't get it. I don't understand. And so that's the part where it seems very confusing to hold the line. Now, my theory is there are elements of the dynamic that people don't know how to grow through. And what I mean is, men don't know what it means to be safe for a woman, and women have no freaking clue what their job in a relationship is. In fact, I've had multiple women try to come into the men's group, and the number one question is like, ladies, you guys have all these expectations for men, but have no idea how to treat a guy. And guys have all of these things that they do to try to treat a girl well, but have no idea the expectations of a woman. They have no idea, like, what's she supposed to do? Like, I don't know, man. I just want her to be nice, which is very interesting, where I start seeing the restriction of kindness, the restriction of touch. Another thing that I've seen for this, by the way, is whenever I work far more with men than women, so do you. And so when I'm working with the guys, I notice that most of the way that they show a love language to show love is going to be generally falling into quality time, gift giving, and words usually ends up not being as high, but they'll try. But it's going to be usually gift giving. Acts of service is probably the main one guys do. Like, I fixed that, or I took care of that, or I went and did that for you, or well-being, or did some work, or acts of service. That's going to be usually how guys will show love. 99 out of 100 guys, their top two ways that they want to receive love is words of affirmation and touch. And then I start seeing more and more with the women, they complain about their men and restrict touch. I'm like, this is something where I do believe, ladies, if it was reversed and men knew, let's just say it's very loud, that men knew, I don't know, hugs. Let's just say hugs are what make women okay. And guys go, I know that hugs makes it so you're okay, but I'm not giving you any hugs anymore. And you're like, yeah, but you know that's what makes me okay. Yeah, and that's why I'm not giving you any hugs. In fact, though, I won't give you any hugs almost ever. But if you ever get a hug from somebody else, I will destroy your life. You're like, I think you're destroying my life both ways. Like, this is a very interesting behavior to restrict and prohibit anybody from having the thing that they need and calling yourself the good lover. There's a very interesting restriction there that gets on my case. So I can't believe that number to say 15% no sex within a year, and now it's more than doubled. Like, it's 25 to 50%.
Well, yeah, that 25 to 50 is
Oh, the 10
having
times.
10, yeah, 10 or less times in a year.
I
So
don't get,
less than once a month.
I don't understand.
I
Why
I
commit
don't
your life to somebody if you won't honor it? What vows actually matter?
Yeah, you bring up some really good points here. Um, I always come back to because I always come back to like what can we do better because that's all we
Because
work with the guys.
that's what all the guys do. They're like, what am I doing
That's
wrong here?
exactly that's what all the guys do. And there's definitely things that we do wrong.
Sure.
Like no doubt about it, right?
Mhm.
And it takes two to tango, but we can only control ourselves and what we do. So that's what I try and focus on.
Let's go ahead and do the thing the ladies would never expect us guys to do. Let's go ahead and say, us guys are doing it wrong. Here's something that you see guys are doing wrong. And here's how you would say this will help them. And then I'll do a thing that I see the guys doing wrong. And let's give them some stuff. Let's give the boys some tips. Instead of going, well, women are really bad. Let's go into like, here's how our guys get really good.
Hmm. All right. So this is one thing that I asked my wife about in the past few months because we'll have conversations about the things that I'm teaching the guys, and I always want to hear her perspective on stuff, especially coming from the woman's end. Like, what does she think about this? What is she missing or has been missing in the past that has led to issues in our relationship? And one of the biggest things that she pointed out to me is she said, women don't want to have sex if they don't feel beautiful. if they don't think you think they are beautiful, right? If there's not an overwhelming evidence that you think she is beautiful, she doesn't feel beautiful because you're probably hopefully one of the only people telling that to her on a constant and consistent basis. And it puts them in a state where they aren't turned on. They feel very uncomfortable, and she's kind of expressed that to other ladies, and they've formed a consensus around that. And um, and I asked her, I was like, do I make you feel beautiful? She was like, no, I wish you would tell me way more often. And I was like, I thought I was doing a pretty good job at this. She was like, yeah, well, you tell me how great my ass is and how nice like all these other things are. But I want to hear more. Like I want to hear about how beautiful my face is and like all these other things. And it was like me learning like, oh, there's a gap here. Like I've been doing okay, but there's still a gap that I can cover, right? Through the words of affirmation and continuing to praise her and build her up in that way. So like that was a mistake that I found that I thought I was doing a good job at, but
What
I
were you
I
doing before? Just saying like, hey, sexy buns. Like, what was the thing that you were doing before?
oh yeah, pretty much just complimenting those assets,
Yeah,
and telling her how much I enjoyed them. That was most of the compliments that I was doing before.
yeah. This is good. There's a thing when I'm training my guys. You mind if I just jump in, or did you want to
Yeah,
like add a
go.
solution? Okay.
Nope.
Thing when I'm training the guys, I actually did an experiment with my girl just to see how important it is to do it just right. And so I'm going to help you guys with like, what does just right look like? I got some relief for the guys. I call this emotional currency. We get really big on financial currency. How am I doing financial provision? How am I doing for work and what I can provide for acts of service or for provisioning? Like we're really big on that. That's the doing element. But then I get into the being element and how much do you make emotional deposits more than just financial deposits? And what I mean by that is like, if you build your girl, build her up. Like you said, I want to feel beautiful. How do you build her up? I do this. You've called out exactly how I do it too with Andrea. Is I'm always calling her something that builds her up. Now, I want to point out with you guys when you start making these emotional deposits, it's got the rule to this is understand that it's got the rule of compounding interest. You know how compounding works? Like, if you were to have a penny on the first day, by the second day it doubles and you get 2 pennies. And then it doubles again, you have 4 pennies. And then it doubles again the next day, you have 8 pennies. And at first it seems like this is going to take forever. But by the end of the month or even one day after, you have like $6 million. And so it compounds and compounds and compounds. But at first it seems like it's just not working. It's kind of like watering a garden. You're like, all right, plant a seed, bury it, water it. Where's my fruit? It doesn't work like that. You got to keep watering it and then you'll get fruit. I call that emotional currency. And so I always call my girl, I do that. I'm like, come here, pretty face, or hey, pretty, or hey, I'll say that, hey, strong legs, come here, like whatever it is, it'll always have something that builds her up though. Some compliment is in the pet name or the playfulness that I do, and sillier the better. Hey, Wonder Woman, I got something to show you. And I started doing something very funny where I was doing a different name almost every time I called her. But I give her so much emotional deposits. I wanted to see if she would notice I'm calling her silly shit because it's playful, it's humorous, but always building. So it was never like, hey, dumb dumb. It was never something negative. It was always a positive thing. Like, hey, pretty hair, come here. Like it was something where if I wanted her attention, I would call her a compliment. For you guys, for reassurance, if you do enough emotional currency to build her up in all these categories, even if you call her like, hey, big brain, come here, I want to show you something, like that means she's super smart. Or hey, biggest heart in the world, I need you. It's like, oh, okay, like something where it's like, even it's not even have to be a physical thing, something where I really admire her. Hey, best generosity girl in the universe. I need to show you something. She's like, did you call me best generosity girl? I'm like, yeah, if you had a superhero name, that's what I'd call you. Anyways, come here. I want to show you something. And you just own it real quick. And she's like, I mean, that was really nice, but what does he need? You know, like small things. I keep making these deposits over and over again. I asked her after 2 weeks of doing that shit, I'm like, did you even notice? And she was like, no, I didn't even notice you were doing that. I just come to whatever nice thing that you call me.
Do you think it's kind of like, someone who has $10 million gets $100,
What do you
where it's
mean?
like, what, why, where I mean, you've built up the currency so large that now it's like it's not even it's so good that these things come and you don't even notice them anymore.
Right. Okay. So there's already $10 million in there. So hey, here's another $1,000, and you're like,
Right. She's not
nice.
worried about it. You're so secure in that area that it's just like you're not even
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it anymore.
It's not what we're not sitting here worrying about overdraft fees.
Yeah.
And so we're like, oh yeah, what can we do, or how can we give, or how can we bless others, or how can we bless each other? And I think that's a really good way to say it. Like we got $10 million in the account. And so, like, hey, if some day's a bad day or she's having a tough day, yeah, we lost a little money today, but we got enough. We're okay. And you're okay. And so, even if we're having a tough day, there's still going to be intimacy that night. Like we have enough currency in there that we don't deny each other or restrict each other. And there's so many people trying to be human doings that they're not knowing how to be human beings, and their connection starts to really suffer. And us guys are so big on having to do acts of service or providing that we're doing, and wondering why we're not getting. Like, hey, I bought you this thing. Why am I not getting my, physical or connection element, taken care of? I want my physical part. Show me my touch or my intimacy or my sex. Give me that part. And the ladies are like, where's our emotional deposits? I'm like, I bought you something. And this is where guys will be detached going, I'm doing. Why am I not getting the thing that I want? I'm doing. It's like, but how much are you being? How much are you connecting? How much are you building? How much does she have the emotional currency too? And most guys didn't even know there's an emotional currency to deposit in. But that's where the intimacy comes from, is if you're doing deposits emotionally. And it's not validate emotions, by the way. That's actually a withdrawal. That's not a deposit,
Hmm.
because validating emotions is actually a bigger problem than solution. And so when they're like, see, you're supposed to validate my emotions. Wrong. Validating emotions creates a complication. It's different to acknowledge than it is to validate. Validation means you are correct. That is valid. You're right. And it's going to say the validity of what you are saying has been confirmed. Validating is very different than acknowledgement. So if JR, you were very upset, and I go, you're right to be upset. Well, that just means now anything that I would say that would counter anything that would make it so you are upset is automatically wrong, because I already said you're right. And if I have to start with validation for you to even interact with me, that control, or that negative control, very, very toxic to communication, because I need you to tell me I'm right before we even begin. Now, any disagreeableness is just you being bad,
Hmm.
toxic, fucking poison. Doesn't work. But acknowledging, I can see you're upset and I understand you are upset, but I just want to see what's going on with you to see if we can work together on it. I don't validate it because I don't agree with you, but I can see that you are doing it. That's true. And saying I acknowledge you is different than I validate you. I believe acknowledgement over validation is the safer, or, wiser way to go when it comes to being able to maintain emotional currency without doing a withdrawal and then wondering, why am I getting overdraft fees? Why am I having no intimacy? Why are we detached? Why are we not okay? Well, it's because you were telling yourself that you're bad before you guys even start to disagree. But disagreement doesn't necessarily mean that we're not okay. It just means we look at it differently. And I think that's where people get the control and accept versus acceptance. And we're doing more doing than being. It's complicated when you start trying to fall for social media bullshit instead of just listen to understand. And I can compassionately and empathetically disagree with you.
I think that's a really big piece. The ability to be disagreeable without like being triggered. without getting into that state, because that was another thing that that like a huge realization I had with my own relationship was her being upset would trigger me. It would make me upset. And I remember, like, when I first started getting into personal development, it was like spoken word and positivity and all of these things. And anytime she would bring up something negative, I would just shut it down. Like, we're not talking about that. That's not where we're heading. Like, I don't even want to speak of that possibility or that thing that is happening right now, even though it's reality. I don't want to acknowledge it because somehow that gives it like too much power in our life. And I thought, like, it was basically me, I'm right, you're wrong in this. You need to see things my way. Right? That's where it was really coming from.
Even
And
if anybody ever needs to be right, you're already wrong.
yes,
Like if you're
but
like, I need to be right, you're already wrong.
well, and what that did when I was in that state was it showed her that she was no longer safe to come to me with things. To be how she felt was, I can no longer be myself around him. I can't trust him with my genuine thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And what happens when women don't feel safe with you anymore, Rick?
Everything goes terrible because then they have to do it for themselves and they don't know how to do safety security. And so then it turns into a very misjudged representation of tasks completed, which goes from you help do this, you help do that, to now I do everything. And anything that you do, if you don't have that safety security, is now deleted for guys. I think Home Math does a really good job of explaining this stuff. No matter what you guys are doing, if one element of safety security isn't completed, they have to try and build it themselves. They don't know how to build safety security. And so then they think they're doing every job of all the jobs and every job that there is for everything. And I do all of it and you do nothing. That's what ends up happening with all these guys. I'm like, he's just missing one wall and he's working 70 hours a week. They're like, yeah, but I have to do that wall and all of my things too. I work 20 hours, plus I take care of the kids, plus I do the wall, plus I do everything. And I'm like, he's probably doing more than you, but you feel like you're doing everything because of the way you measure. And that's why guys build structure, because we're masons. And so we do masonry and we're going to be the pig that builds their house out of concrete and bricks. But women are more, when it comes to structure, they build out of straw. And then they wonder, why do the wolves keep trying to get in? And if we're not good at stopping the wolves, they think they have to stop wolves. They're not good at stopping wolves. And so they can't make the house a home because they're trying to build straw walls and they keep falling down and they have to do everything and I'm overwhelmed and everything's impossible. It's your fault.
And when they get in the driver's seat and crash the car like that,
It's your fault
they
too.
direct the relationship and it falls apart or goes terribly wrong. Who's to blame?
The reality of it is both of us, but they will say it's always the guy. Why? Because
Absolutely.
women will gaslight their introspection and they have no accountability to their part of it. The truth is that everybody who's in a relationship teaches their person how to be with them.
Yes.
That's the reality. If somebody doesn't share with you, or they're shut down around you, or they feel like they have to omit or restrict around you, or they freeze, or they get angry, any trigger, all triggers are taught. And you teach your person how to be with you. And if you can't tell them the truth because you don't think they're safe enough to share with, both men and women, if you have a partner who won't share with you, that's your fault. Like, how's it my fault that he doesn't say anything to me? Because whenever he does, you freak the fuck out and that makes you unsafe to talk to. If you can't handle the truth, people stop telling it to you. Why do they stop doing it? Because you've shown you can't handle it. Well, they should be honest. I'm like, but if they are, you punish honesty. So people don't share honesty with people who try to punish instead of accept. And since you can't handle the truth, they can't share it with you. You taught them that. How is it my fault what they do? Because the way you do things, it's everybody else's fault for what you do. Are you not seeing the pattern here? So even if, let's say the guy does emotional currency and he is doing this, you ever seen this before? You guys ever compliment somebody and then it's rejected? Is that because your compliment was bad?
No.
Your compliment was fine. Like, wow, you look very beautiful today. No, I don't. I actually wasn't asking. I was letting you know. I was telling you, do you do? No, I don't. I look terrible. This isn't good. Or I even watched this girl do karaoke at this big place, and she got off, and a lady was like, "You did so good. I'm very proud of you." And she's like, "No, it wasn't. I was pitchy. It was bad." Like, it doesn't matter how kind or sincere the compliment is if the person themselves are not okay. It doesn't matter how good the other person is actually doing in their job. This is the revealing of thyself. And so you've got the guys who are doing emotional currency and going, how come she's not doing well? Well, it's because the bowl that you're pouring the emotional currency into has a bunch of holes in it. Have you ever tried to fill up a strainer before?
Doesn't work well.
It's not so great. And so you see people who have a bunch of holes in the bowl that they've got for their heart, and they're wondering why it just pours out. And you're going like, dang, I just poured all of my heart into your heart. How are you doing? Does it feel good? Are you good with how much I've given? And they're like, my bowl is empty. You're doing a bad job. And I'm like, I I made a huge deposit in there. What's going on here? And instead of being able to have the accountability element of himself for a woman to go, I got to patch these holes up because everything this guy's giving me is pouring through. It can't be them. It must be him. I would lead this into feminine energy, actually, because like the very feminine guys do the same thing.
Yes.
They'll blame their girl for their holes in their thing. And like, while the past pain or the past hurt that came from others may not be your fault, some of it is, but most of it may not be. All healing is your fault. And if you're not patching up or kintsugi in those holes together or patching up your bowl, your strainer is never going to work no matter how much love you're given because you'll reject it. And that shows I'm not okay, not you're not good enough.
Yeah, that's a deep level there, but it's reality, and we see it all the time. We see it all the time, and that personal responsibility, it's hard to take on for a lot of guys, especially if you're stuck in that feminine energy realm, and especially if you've been letting everyone else make the decisions for you along the way, letting
Mm-hmm.
her lead. Right, that's the biggest mistake, letting her lead, because like we just talked about, at the end of the day, you're going to be blamed. Like it's going to be your fault if things don't go right. So you might as well make the decision and
Even with
own it.
even with that thing though, if there's a person who's in charge or leading and then they blame other people, do you think that's leadership traits?
No.
Right. And so if you're a blame thrower, you're not a leader. I think we'll just leave it before I get deep into leadership. If you and I are doing something and it goes wrong and I go, well, it's all JR's fault then. Like, I'm really not leading if I don't have accountability to like, yeah, it's my call. It didn't work. Let's figure out a different way. You know, if I go like, well, it would have worked if JR would have done his thing. It's like, stop it. Whose plan was it? Well, I mean, like I had the idea, but the people didn't do their part to it. It's like, you're not a leader. You're not leading. You're not inspiring. You're not accountable. You're not owning your aspect of it. You didn't adjust or adapt. You're not leading. You don't even know where you're going. You're too busy looking backwards to tell people where we're going forward, not the leader. And if you have anybody who does blame throwing, they shouldn't be in charge. Here's another element. If I'm blaming everything on you, what do you think my empathy is for you?
None.
If I'm allocating as an authority who's supposed to be responsible and I say it's all your fault, it's all your fault, JR. You didn't do your thing enough. What do you think my level of empathy for? I wonder what JR is going through now that that didn't work out. Zero. Non-existent. I don't give a fuck. I'm blaming you because I don't want to look bad. I can justify I look good because you're the one. It's your fault. How am I the leader? And this is why I say, ladies, if things aren't going well and you blame other people, and you were the one who was given the authority or you were in charge, but the kids aren't okay, he's not okay, the relationship isn't okay, and you're driving the boat, at what point do you go, I don't think I'm supposed to be driving this? Everybody's not doing okay. There's no empathy for him. I'm always overwhelmed. Nobody's doing what I tell them to, good enough to my particular standards. And there's too much going on and I can't handle it. It must be his fault. Like, aren't you driving? I only drive because he won't drive. I'm like, didn't you say you needed to drive and that's why he gave you the wheels? Well, he's not supposed to always do it. Only when I want to. I'm like, did you guys talk about that? I shouldn't have to. And how are you guys supposed to make agreement? I don't understand what leadership style this is. That's what I've seen with working both men and women. It's like that pattern happens every time. I've never seen a scenario yet where the woman is running the show, she's leading, and the ship is going smoothly. And if any of you guys would challenge this, you guys can jump on the show and please explain how it works, because I've talked to hundreds of guys. And JR, I watch the guys you talk to who go, I gave her the lead because, you know, women can do everything a man can do better. I gave her a lead, and as soon as she started doing okay, she just destroyed me. Why would the leader do that?
Yeah, I think it often comes it comes to that because typically for the guys, from what I experience myself and a lot of the guys that I work with and kind of attract because of who I was, we are very go with the flow type of guys typically, where it's like that's what made us friends in the past. That's what made us likable, because who doesn't like being with friends with the guy who you get to do whatever you want to do all the time, right? You get to go wherever you want to go and eat whatever you want to eat. He's down for anything. He's just along for the ride. So it benefits us a lot in the beginning of life, in childhood and adolescence. Like, you can make friends and be a part of the group and get positive affirmation for that, for being the good kid, the nice kid that never causes any problems, who's always willing to help out and lend a hand. But as you get into adulthood, you carry that strategy into there, and it just doesn't work, because if you're constantly allowing everyone else to make the decisions, it's a skill. Making decisions is a skill. And when you get into a relationship and she realizes that she's way better at making decisions than you are, and you're super comfortable with allowing other people to make decisions for you, it is a train wreck waiting to happen.
Yeah, it starts getting really hypergamy does kick in. It kicks in very hard when you have a guy who's very whatever you want to do, hon. I call it when the two couples are, when the guy's chasing the girl and the girl's following the guy, it's just them chasing each other's tails. They're just going in a circle and they're wondering why they're not going anywhere. I'm going wherever you want to go. Well, I'm following you. Well, where do you want to go? Wherever you think we should go. I just want you to be happy. Well, it would make me happy if you picked a place, but I don't want you to be mad at me if I picked the wrong place. So where do you want to go? Where I'm ready to go when you are. So just pick a damn place already. Okay, but what are you in the mood for? Like, it's just the two people chasing each other, just going in a circle. And it's very funny to watch. And those are a lot more of your nice guys start falling into that. We had a mission here. And I actually just, let's do it in real time together. I want to team up with you and like how we can help more people like have perspective. Do you have your nice, because just so you guys know why JR and I are so good at what we're doing, is our program comes from opposite and polarized ends. JR came from these nice guys, you nice guys. Like, we want to be the nice guy. And I was more of a bad boy. I didn't give a fuck. Like, I was the other end. So they had the bad boys and the nice guys. And both of them had pros and both of them have cons. So my theory is, if you take the pros from the bad boy and you take the pros from the nice guy, remove the cons from both, then you at least have a blueprint for a good man. There's somewhere in the middle here is the pros and cons are balanced out. I got to remove the things that do harm and benefit and grow the things that are beneficial from both sides. Both have uses, but both by themselves with the negatives cause huge problems. Both sides end up making problems. So, do you have your list of nice guy stuff?
I do. I want to ask you a question before we get into this list, because
Sure.
one of the beliefs that we have to go in and defeat with a lot of the nice guys is because they don't want to be the nice guy. They figure out like that's a problem at some point, right? And then I'm face to face with them. But they are adamant, like, I don't want to be an asshole either. I can't.
Cool.
I would rather spend the rest of my life getting walked over and sacrificing everything about me than ever be a bad person, because they
Yeah.
see those guys as bad people,
This is
right?
good.
And
I think it's
it,
great. It's a good intention. Your intentions are noble. Those are good intentions.
yes, good
Cool.
in intentions, but I'm wondering, like, on the other end, are they looking at, like, I never want to, like, I'm imagining like a younger version of you, like thinking of it in the opposite frame of mind, where I'm not gonna be a bitch, like I'm not gonna let people take advantage of me or something like it.
It
I've
was
not been in that state,
well,
but
it was I won't be controlled was where mine
mm,
was is it was around 10th grade when I had my fuck all of you fuckers moment. Is because, like, just so you know, like almost everybody starts off as like this nice guy. We all start off as nice guys. We all begin as betas. Everybody starts as a beta. We're kids, so we're not leading. We're beta behavior. We all have to be. And so we have to evolve into leadership. We have to learn by different things that work and don't work. And I remember even I was sitting at a lunch table when it fucking clicked for me. I was doing comic books and drawing at the time. And I remember drawing this thing where, like, I just knew how just physically tough I was because I grew up in a very hostile environment. I knew how tough we were. A very tough family, very strong, very, very durable. So I understood the toughness of the family, but man, my heart was so sensitive. And I remember this girl just being mean to be mean. It was somebody I liked too, like a friend, and just trying to be like, you're not funny, and just trying to be as embarrassing as possible. Just trying to just make you look like an idiot. And you girls are fucking brutal from this middle school to early high school. Like, so mean. And like us guys fist fight for less than what you girls say. Like, it's so mean. And I remember her just trying to be mean just for fucking mean's sake, just meanness for mean's sake. And because of the kindness, and this is important to understand, because of the nice guy kindness of don't hit a girl, I just sat there and just got fucking shredded in front of everybody. Because if a dude would have said it, I would have threw my lunch tray at him. But if a girl said it, I had to sit there and just get demolished in front of everybody from pure, unadulterated, absolute negative intent cruelty. And I just ate it. I just fucking ate it. And I remember in that moment, I said, fuck this bitch. Fuck all these bitches. I don't give a fucking fuck about anybody. Fuck everybody. Fuck you all. I fucking don't care. Fuck you. Never fucking again. And I just flipped the other way to absolute indifference. I don't give a fuck what the fuck you do. Fuck you. Like, I don't care. And the more I didn't care, the more I didn't chase, the more I wasn't interested, the more I was like, I don't give a fuck what you do, the more attention that I got. The more girls were like, oh, I don't have control of this one. I need to get it. Like, and I'm like, I don't give a shit what the fuck you do. Get the fuck away from me. And the more I be like, get away from me or I don't care, the more they're like, well, maybe we should hang out so you can know better. And I'm like, what? What? How is me not giving a fuck making you want to hang out more? That doesn't make any sense. And I went the bad boy route, and I'll tell you, way more successful, especially during those years, because it looked confident. It looked very confident. So I want to be able to share. For me, it was the opposite of I don't want to be an asshole. It was I don't give a fuck what you think about me. I don't care. And that's where I went with it. And ironically, it looks like confidence when really it was absolute indifference. I didn't give a shit. And that part I can't say was healthy, but it definitely it garnered more success than when I was the nice guy up until the 10th grade. Just putting it out there for like, how did that happen? I broke. That's what happened. Like that girl broke me. The nice guy got beaten out by a mean girl. And you girls wonder, like, how did these guys become so bad boys? I'm like, you're a fucking contributor. Like, you say shitty things to nice guys to make them go, I don't give a fuck what she says. How come these guys don't care about our feelings? I'm like, because you destroyed him in the ninth grade. You don't remember that? Oh my God, that was so long ago. Like it was a fucking core feeling for that core memory for this dude. You helped shape his identity because he was trying to talk to you for love, and then you publicly humiliated him for being kind. You taught him something. You were teaching class that day, but you think it doesn't count because you gaslight introspection and won't take accountability for the cruelty that you were just tossing out like Halloween candy. Like that probably had some contribution to it. So that's how I ended up going bad boy route and ended up not really struggling when it came to female attention from that point. How ironic is the bigger that I didn't give a shit, the more attention that I would get. Ironic.
It's very ironic. And I always have to point out, like, because almost all of them come in with that idea. Like, I don't want to be that guy. It's the last thing I want. And I always use the example, like, all right, think of all of the most successful guys, like in the generations we're in the past generations. Think about, Michael Jordan and Tom Brady. Think about Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. Is anybody in society calling those guys nice guys?
I don't think so. Yeah, I
I,
don't think it comes off as nice guy.
I don't think so. Right? I would even say a lot of people in society are calling them assholes and saying things like, I don't like the way that guy treats his employees. I don't like the things that that guy says. I don't like the way he talks to his teammates.
I think even in that is something though, because all of the way that this guy is talking about these successful guys is a judgment.
Yes.
And I think there's something there too. That's why like when there's blame, shame, and judgment, I kind of follow the magician instead of the magic trick. And I'm like, why are you speaking so judgmentally? Because there's something to the person who's judging far more than the person who's doing.
Well, that's how society works. Majority of
Well,
people in society.
that's like Carl Jung said, and that's why I strengthened the quote where he says, thinking is difficult, and that's why people judge. And I would go a step further and go that thinking and empathy are hard, and that's why people judge instead. And so he's an asshole. I don't like how he talks to people. That guy's a jerk. I never want to be that kind of guy. And I'm like, not one of these things is coming from a healthy place. This shows how unhealthy you are because you speak in judgments, not in growth or understanding or empathy. You have none. You judge
Yes.
immediately. Haven't thought about it, have you?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, 100%. So those guys, like I have them picture those guys, and I ask them, wouldn't every guy in here love to have the type of success that those guys have had in their lives? The answer is always, yeah, of course. Of course. So, can we all agree there's something they're doing that is good? There's something there that is right. And our goal is to decipher and figure out, like, what is it that we need to take from them and add to your life, and what is it that we need to leave behind from what you're doing right now and mesh that into becoming the good man, right? And I think that's what, like, I love, because I've done this so many times, and now we're like actually in the
We're going to
midst
do
of
it.
like a collaboration of doing that.
Let's do it. Let's do it right now. I think you're
Okay.
absolutely right. And let's help out. Let's help out because I'll come in from like what's going on with my bad boys to become good men because we have to take on some of the traits of the nice guy, but we can't take on the negative traits. And you want to take on the traits of the bad boy to be a good man, but I don't want to take on the negative traits. I don't want to be a total asshole, but I still want to have the traits. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
How do we want, you want to share the good traits first?
Yeah. Well, as far as let's go into like nice guy, let's go into like his good traits of the nice guy.
All right. So here's what I got for the good traits of the nice guy. He's loyal. He's caring. He's empathetic. He typically has a servant's heart. He's stable. His life is typically like stable, making very safe choices. He's a giver. He's willing to make sacrifices and compromise for the greater good of others or the group. And he has very pure intentions. He never intends to do harm to others.
These are good lists. It's a good list so far. I have a very long list for my bad boy.
For the good stuff,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I have a very
This
long list.
Well, listen, in a way, like you said, the bad boys, like they accomplish a lot more typically in life than the nice
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, let's
Right.
go. I'll give you the list that at least the impression, and I also want to give you a realization that my wife pointed out to me about this. That's very funny about women too, just so you can see.
Okay.
All right, here's my list that I have for my guys. They're very confident, or at least appear very confident. I think there's actually, I could probably split this up into two categories. One that is the actual action or the actual behavior, and then the other one that is the perceived bravado of the behavior. So I think some of it is perception and some of it is actually reality. And so I probably could have to break this up into the concept of bravado versus actual behavior. This is something where I'm seeing it already in the first word, but at least appears very confident. I don't give a fuck. I'm doing my own thing. That seems very
Which
confident.
is good. Like
Mhm.
it's good thing to at least appear confident.
It's a good trait.
Yeah.
Confidence is a good thing. It's attractive. This is where I went into also indifference. I went indifferent. I was like, I don't care what you say about me. Like, and they're like, well, he can't be controlled. He's confident. He doesn't care. Like, there's something to the indifference element of it. Bad boys are more mysterious, usually more closed off. They're not going to just share it all out to be like, I ain't telling you shit. Like, fuck off. Like, they seem like there's this mysterious element, can appear more complicated. And like that gives intrigue. It makes you want to know more. It makes you want to chase a little. Like, what is that? There's the thrill of the unknown with the bad boys, which means, like you said, the nice guys don't take risk. Bad boys take risks. We don't care. I'll do it. I'll go give the speech, or I'll go jump off of it, or I'll punch that guy. Like, there's risk. I'll start the bit. I don't give a shit. It's going to go wrong. Everything goes wrong anyways. I don't care. So they're more open to taking risk. They seem more self-assured. And that self-assurance also makes it so that the bravado that they give makes it so that bad boys seem to have more options. Women like Women are attracted to guys they have to compete with other women for. If there's all the girls think he's so hot, then they'll go, oh, he is hot. And then each girl would love to be chosen by the guy who a lot of girls want. That goes into apex thinking. It goes into, the fantasies of the billionaire, the pirate, the surgeon, the werewolf, the vampire. It gets into the most apex thing that all the girls want. Well, that makes me want him more because he's hard to get and he's unique, but all the girls want him. There's a subconscious competition thing that women do. So they're more self-assured. It gives them more options. They're uncontrollable. They're uncontrollable. They won't be controlled. They have more strength and directness. So they'll usually project like, I don't care. I'm tough. I don't care. There's a dominance or a fearlessness to them. It seems like I'll do whatever. But if the bad boy compliments you, it makes you feel good. You know what I mean? So if a guy who's like, you meet the guy who's a badass and he's like, dude, that was cool. You're like, the fucking tough guy told me I was cool. Like, they can make you feel really good because it doesn't seem like that one would do that. And so when the bad boy builds someone up, that's like 10x points.
I think there's something to about like being honest, not caring. So being honest about like saying what you think a lot of times when someone knows that you're going to tell them what you think regardless of how they feel, right? When there's the possibility of like negative or maybe even the expectation of he's going to tell me how he feels and the
Mm-hmm.
positive comes out of it, right? There's so much more weight to it compared
Yeah.
to with the nice guys. One of the big problems is they're not honest about things that they don't like, so they get trapped in this thing of white lies where when they compliment or give it, there's no weight to it because the people on the other end don't see the authenticity.
Yeah. And the people who require less external validation, when they give it, it means more.
Yeah.
That's a good call. Like, so this is where I was just thinking when you were saying that, the nice guy being the fan and going like, wow, JR, you're like so cool. Whoa. And you're like, all right, man, thanks. Like, take a fucking deep breath, man. It's fine. Like, it doesn't come off as like, man, that guy really built me up. I'm like your biggest fan. Whoa, 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 whoa. And you're like, yeah, I thanks, bud. Thank you. You know, but if the rock star gets off the stage and goes, hey, man, I saw you. You're awesome. They're like, oh my God, the rock star just said, I'm awesome. I am the coolest guy on earth. Like, just something even so small, but like it came from that, like, I don't give a fuck what people think about me. And that makes me think that you're the coolest. Like the status or the image or the bravado or whatever it is that came out, now it's given to you. You're right. It turned the value of that up. It's almost like
I
the
love that.
unlikely source is what makes it so valuable.
Yeah, that's a good point. The fan versus the person you admire
Mm-hmm.
in a way. Yeah, like the comp, it feels totally different. Where the fan, you just like, thanks, man, cool.
Cool. Yeah. Please stop touching me. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, though. You're hugging me for too long. This is weird. Like, please let go. Security will rip your head off. Like, it's that kind of thing where you're making it weird. But the guy who's like, hey, fist bump, bro. That was badass. You're like, I just fucking fist bumped the fucking man. Holy shit. There's something to it. There's something there. We're like the uncontrollable, the dangerous one, the one who's a little wild, just approved of you. And there's something, I think there's something too with the women. They want to be able to be the one thing that tames the uncontrollable or the reckless or the dominant beast, like the Beauty and the Beast element of it, like the Hulk and Betty Ross, where it's like he's going to rage and destroy everything, but she's the only one who he loves more than anything on earth, and she's the only one who can calm down the werewolf or the vampire or the beasts or the Warwick or the whatever it would be, to say this is the thing that, like, because you're the daughter or because you're the wife or because you're the one thing he loves too much, you're the only thing that can calm him down. In the Avengers, they turned it into the Black Widow, which, don't get me started, but the sun's getting real low, big guy. Sun's getting real low. Is the only one who can make the Hulk go back to Bruce Banner. That was Betty Ross in the real comics. I'm a comic book nut, so
I,
Black Widow.
I can see that. Yeah,
There's
yeah.
something to that, though. What a
Do,
what
do
a
you,
what a quickening when a woman can be the one thing that controls the uncontrollable.
yeah, that's an archetype that's like played out over and over again in these stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the dangerous, the are you team Edward or team Jacob? Like, it's why? Because they're both apex monsters. And the most boring girl on earth who actually cancels out powers is the only one who can calm these two dudes, that they choose her. The billionaire in 50 Shades of Grey, the guy who's like, he has endless amount of resources to purchase any concept or any idea or any amount of power that he can afford, and he chooses her just because. And you're like, there's something where this guy can do anything, and he chooses, I am the thing that he devotes his attention and energy towards. Wow. I want to be chosen by the one who has the most options, the most powerful, the most untamable. There's that trait. That's what I mean, is the bad boy element. That trait is still there. Other elements is bad boys are not afraid to challenge, and it gives the bravado of he knows what he wants. Even if he's just being a dickhead, he still looks like he knows what he's doing. Even if it's just like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just being a jerk to be a jerk, it still looks like, well, he's being a jerk for some reason. It seems like he knows what he's doing. Or he's louder, and it seems like he knows, even if he doesn't. There's an element of pursuit. You're going to have to chase the bad boy a little bit. Bad boys won't chase you as much as you're going to have to chase a bad boy. And that's where the good guys will chase the girls. Bad boys will shoot their shots and we'll see what comes out. That's also where it looks like it's confident, even if it's just really not confident. Matthew Hussey does a good breakdown of like these 2% of the guys who shoot their shot and everybody look confident, even if they have bad intention, which we'll get to in a second. The bad boys seem far more capable of protection than nice guys because we're willing to be confrontational. And so these are the guys who, like, if some guy grabs your girl in the bar, I'm most likely just going to punch that dude in the face without a conversation. You're like, well, I like that. And you see it in the movies, which is really, JR, I don't know if you've ever been in fights. It's really funny how this goes. In the movies, if a guy does something really jerky to a girl and the guy you're with just punches the guy and he goes down, they're like, yeah, good. You should do that. That guy was a bad guy. He had that. That's justice. He had that coming. He was bad. He's like, hey, your ass is nice, and grab this girl's ass and go, hey, respect women. Bam, and like, and just knock the dude out. And she's like, thank you. That guy was very rude. And like, want to get out of here? Yes. And then the next scene is in like the diner eating waffles. And you're like, did we just skip that? In real life, when you punch somebody, it turns out everybody loses their fucking minds. Like, they all freak out. Like, I can't believe you just punched that guy. I'm like, you just grabbed your ass. That's rude. Like, oh my God, but you punch people. I can't believe what you just did. I'm like, it's very funny. People freak out when you really punch people. I thought it would be very different. It doesn't work like that. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Real life is very
I've
different than
never
movie.
experienced that coming from the opposite end of the spectrum.
Everybody loses their minds when you actually do that thing. That's probably a different story for a different day, but I just thought it was funny. Seems capable of protection, but it is capable of protection. And there is an element too that afterwards, whenever I've seen women who have not seen their guy fight before, who get in a fight, and then afterwards go like, I don't know why I like that so much now that I know you're okay. Like, once like the guy successfully protects the girl, it's scary in the moment, but then afterwards, like, it actually makes me feel really safe to be with you, and I'm really turned on right now, and I don't know why. It's like there's an element there that bad boys will bring to the equation. The dangerous element, we're dangerous, and again, that goes into like dangerous also means security. I'll tell you too, when I have my angry dad face around, or you already know, you and I are walking around and like, you know, like the muscles are out and you're walking with your family, having scary dad privileges or scary husband privileges is a very cool thing. And my lady's confidence and my girl's safety security is way higher when they got scary dad, scary husband privileges. Because people don't mess with you. People won't hurt you. You're safer. People won't see you as a target if there's scary version of something around. Even I sent a video of when they did the episode on 60 Minutes where they had a pedophile who was like, hey, how do you choose which children you're going to, like, you know, target? And he said, well, first I assess the family. That's the first thing I do. And if there's a strong, dangerous male around, I skip that kid.
Hmm.
It's important. Why does scary dad privileges or scary husband privileges matter? It keeps the predators away. And I think women don't understand. He's like, I would target single women. I would target moms without men around, and I would be the white knight. I would be like, oh my God, you're so overwhelmed. You're such a good mom. If you ever need a night off, just to decompress, I'm next door. No problem. I'll watch the kid for you, and I'll be there to protect and take care of you as the nice neighbor. And that guy was a predator. And he's like, that's how I would get it, because there was no strong male around. And so I would prey on that as the nice guy. This is dangerous behavior. And so having a dangerous man around does detour bad guys. I know even around here, me and my dogs are always out. And I got 5 females here. And I've had guys even come up on bikes and ask me questions. And I'm like, I don't think you understand how much danger you're in right now. Like, you are not in a safe position at the moment. And these guys are like, yeah, I don't like how this guy is. And then they would just move on. They passed by. But if they knew this was a place with girls with no protectors, this place becomes a gold mine, not a pit fight. This is dangerous with something like me around. And there's something to bad boys that element is there. That element of bad boy is like, don't fuck with that one. It's going to be a problem. So that's the list that I have for bad boys. Now, that's the good stuff. those all sound like that sounds cool. You could tell how I tell the stories. You're like, I want some of that, and that sounds pretty good, right? Let's go to the not so good section. Do you want to start with your not good section? Because you know mine's long.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, let's get into it. So, the bad traits, the need for external validation, right? The need for people to like him, to accept him, which makes him behave in ways that are very unattractive, bend his morals, make this questionable decisions, manipulative through covert contracts. He's dishonest. Going back to the need for that external validation, he will do questionable things to get that. He lacks confidence. He's very risk adverse. He does not like taking leaps of faith. He does not like putting himself in vulnerable positions. Loyal to the wrong people. So a lot of times, especially with an archetype that I'll call like the wallflower type of nice guy, where he's not very outgoing. So he doesn't choose his friends or his mates. They end up choosing him. And it puts him in a position where sometimes they become an easy target, right? So they'll become loyal because these are the only friends I got to the wrong people. Resentful, very resentful over time because of all of the sacrifices that they've made with the expectations of a good life or sex or a kind woman or something on the other end for all of the sacrifices that they've made over the years. Their belief is that if I'm a nice guy, a good person, it will lead to a good and happy life. And when that doesn't happen, there's a deep resentment there. Lack of boundaries, right? Not being able to say no because of that need for external validation. Lack of direction and goals, being the go with the flow type of guy. Oftentimes, nice guys, they find their purpose in helping others reach their goals and be happy. I hear it all the time. She broke up with me and but she doesn't understand. She asked me like, what makes me happy? And I said, well, making you makes me happy. That's what makes me happy. And she told me that's why she broke up with me. I don't get it. What am I doing wrong? Like, what is wrong with putting her happiness as my purpose, right? And we can talk about that for days. That is a rabbit hole filled with fun conversations that I really enjoy, honestly. Attracted to projects and people that need fixed. And then, yeah, they also have this thing, the friend zone. They get friend zoned often because they're dishonest about their intentions and they believe that they place connection ahead of sexual tension, right? So connection without sexual tension, what is that? That's friendship, right? So you end up with a bunch of girls that are friends with you that you really secretly want to have sex with. And oftentimes those girls know that, but they like having you around. They like that you help them move to new apartments and buy them coffees and give them rides and pick them up the morning after their one night stand. So you can take them to get their Dunkin' and get them home safely, right? It's nice to have a guy around that's willing to serve you and be friends with you. So those are my bad traits for the nice guys.
I'm writing them out right now because I was going in this friend zone, the secret attraction. These guys are easy to use. And that goes into the concept of the young sugar daddy where I will pay for your attention over connection.
Mm-hmm.
Like hey, if I pay for this or help you or do that for you, will you be nice to me?
Yeah, they think connection leads to sex.
Yeah, which is very funny because sex leads to sex. So I'm just
And
gonna say
that
like
exactly,
I'll tell you
exactly.
how fast it is if you go like, I find you highly attractive. I would love to see what all that feels like. And they're like, oh my God, he's so direct. Oh my God, he was so rude. That's so rude. It's like, I'm going to I'm going to close this. I'm going to ask for your business. Like, but the guys, I think it's like salesmen who never close. That's kind of what these nice guys are. So it's kind of like if I was like, hey, JR, do you want to buy this thing? It's really, really cool. It's so awesome. It's the best. It's so awesome. It's really, really cool. And you're like, all right, dude. I'm like, it writes, it does this thing, it does that. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, there's so many things it'll do. It'll do anything. It's so good. You're like, all right, I guess, whatever, dude. You're like, oh, here, let me show you another thing. Let me show you another thing it'll do. And just keep going. I'm like, are you ever going to go like, do you want one or two? Like, you ever going to close this? You're going to ask for business ever? But a good closer, a good salesman is like, this thing's going to help you make your whole life better. Do you want to buy one or do you want to buy the whole pack? And they're like, I don't know. Let me just try one. And they'd be like, how does this guy keep getting so many girls? I'm like, did you guys ever ask for any business? He didn't care if they say no. I'm just going to ask for your business. Do you want it? Hey, do you want the business? They're like, I don't think I want the business. I'm like, I don't think you understand how good the business is. Let me show you a little bit of the business. They're like, all right, well, the business is kind of looking better, but I don't think I want it still. I'll be like, you don't understand the value of the business. Let me close you again. And they're like, okay, I'll try the business. Good. It's just a good sales guy at that point. Just ask for the business. And if you never ask for the business, it's the guy who over explains and never closes. And that's a bad salesman. And I'm not
Yeah,
saying like this is a sales pitch. I just mean as far as the skills involved in communication. If you never ask for business or give direction on where to go, you're just following and never going to get any sales.
yeah.
And that's what these guys do. No sales. They just go
And
to work every
and
day
it
and no commissions.
and it feels like on the other end of it, it feels like uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
right? When someone doesn't let you know their intention right out the gate. But when you know their intention right out the gate, there's something comforting about that.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're just like, okay, that's what he's here for. Let's see what he's got.
Yeah.
Right? This guy wants to sell me this thing. Show me your thing, dude. Let me see what you got, and I'll let you know, like straight up, if I want it or not.
Mm-hmm. And,
Right?
and a good sales guy will be indifferent. Like, I don't care if you buy this or not. But what I found is the people who do buy it, I got no complaints. And they're like, really? So a lot of people have bought it? Yeah, because it's awesome. You should buy it because everyone wants it. Well, I mean, if everyone wants it, I'll try it. And like this, see, just close the damn deal. Just close. But if you never close, yeah, it ends up becoming bad sale. That's why I say this friend zone thing, tough area to be in. I've been friend zoned. Let me just tell you, the worst. Like I'd rather just be rejected over fucking friend zoned. That sucked. I'd rather just be like, I don't ever want to see you. And I'm like, hey, well, at least I know. Moving on. Versus like, I'm going to string you along while you just are dreaming about the bargaining fantasy life that we could have if I were to just see you in a different light. But I screwed that thing up by just not being confident in the right time or whatever it would have been. You needed more bad
Yeah.
boy traits. Listen, I switched it over. I went straight, fuck this, and it worked.
I think the weird thing, when I found myself in the friend zone, the weird thing that I found about it was the closer I got to knowing these girls, the more like kind of repulsed I was by them, to be honest.
You were able to start seeing too much truth, and it started
You,
getting really messy.
yeah, you start seeing how they treat their guys and like watching them cheat on their boyfriends and all of this just crazy shit where you're like, what is wrong with you? Why do you like this guy? Like, why do you keep going back to this guy over here? Like, it just doesn't make any sense at all to me.
Yep. Yeah. But those guys they were getting the girl that you liked, though.
Exactly.
There was those
Exactly.
traits. Want to hear my bad
Exactly.
boy traits? My negative
Let's
traits? All right. Here's my
let's get
negative
into it.
traits from my bad guys. They're very manipulative also. In a different way though. Like directly like manipulative. I'm gonna say whatever I have to say and I'm gonna lie however I have to lie to get what I want to get. They don't give a shit. like this. So still highly manipulative, very aggressively manipulative, dishonest, can be very arrogant. This is very like full of themselves, thinking they're God's gift to everything, even though they're the biggest dick in the whole entire, they're the biggest asshole. They're not nice, but they think they're the greatest. Zero empathy for others. Do not care. I don't care who gets hurt. I don't care who I use. I don't care who gets left behind. I don't care. It's completely detached. They'll take advantage of people. So they don't care who's in the way. They'll take advantage to get what they want. They have masks that are very over the top or overcompensate. So they'll act the bravado element, the tough guyness, or being like, I'm the best, I'm the baddest, I'm the coolest, I'm the greatest. This overcompensation bravado is definitely going to be a big indicator. It's a mask, though. It's insincere, disingenuous, it's fake. Usually it's masking a big hurt, but trying to act like you're the coolest. Also, the loyalty element, there's a negative side. There's also there's no loyalty or low loyalty. This means if it's in the way of something I want, I'm still going to go get what I want. There's the gluttony element of like, I can get this, 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 and this. Why wouldn't I want them all? I don't give a shit. Why wouldn't I? They're giving out free samples at Costco. Why would I buy anything? Get it for free. So why would I commit? I don't need to. Low loyalty. Usually can be highly insecure. They're usually very insecure because they have to overcompensate. That's the mask. And they're hiding their insecurity. Trigger easily. This usually means there's excuses involved in who they are. And as soon as anybody starts questioning or challenging the truth or authenticity of their bravado or their toughness, they usually have to explode in some sort of firework display of I'm too tough. Fuck all you. I'll fuck you up. I'm the toughest. I'm the baddest. There's going to be some sort of negative trigger that comes out as soon as there's a challenge for authenticity and truth. So bad boys do not like this. Very hurtful, very mean, very controlling, will often bully weakness. And so if they see anything that represents weakness, they will attack it. That's not very nice. So they'll try to hurt people who are either hurting or seem hurt. They don't like that. Very low accountability for anything. There won't be very much accountability. They blame others instead of, take accountability for their own behavior. They'll pick the fights. They're not very big on diffusing. They're big on, I'll start it, and so they don't try to de-escalate. They'll escalate. And then they have very detached hearts. Usually there's a lot of damage in there to make it so they'll be unplugged from connection and just go into some sort of superficial validation, something that's going to be more external, to say like, this girl wants me, or I got money, or I have possessions, or I have victories, or I have something I get. And they're very big on the taking element and have a detached heart when it comes to actual connection and purpose. It's going to be more about what can I get versus how do I give, hence being a boy versus a man. When I went through this list of all of these things for bad boy, very important, the difference between boys and men. Boys are takers, men are givers. When I went through the thing on bad boy, Andrea noticed like this is the same thing they're doing for boss babe. This list, if you watch
This,
like the movies for like how women are represented as the boss babe or the
this,
bad bitch,
I talk about this because I am a firm believer that the like extreme feminist culture is just the shittiest version of a guy.
it's, well, hold on. This is where this is where I would maybe get specific with the wording.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They're the shitty version of a bad
yeah.
boy. So
Yes.
which version of masculinity are they trying to emulate? They're emulating bad boy, not even tough man, bad boy, which means when they're going into their masculine to try to be a bad bitch or a boss babe, they're emulating children, the boy element, not the man element, which is really funny that they'll attack and shame men as they act like boys.
I see boss babe as the female equivalent to finance bro.
What's finance bro?
I don't know that I'll be able to properly explain it, but it's basically like the guy, the almost like a psychopathic, like asshole guy that is just finances. He's in finance. He makes a ton of money, sleeps with all the girls, does all the drugs, doesn't care about anybody or anything other than like making money, sleeping with girls,
Yeah. So
right?
like the
And
boiler
building,
room
yeah,
sales guy kind of
yeah,
deal.
yeah. In a way, yeah,
Win
like
at all
building like
costs.
his thing, like very
Yeah.
selfish.
That's the taker, though. Again,
The
that's
taker.
the boys' take, and boys are about status and winning and getting, and what do I my championship and my conquest, and I get more, and me, and mine, and trying to get as much as possible. That's that boiler room salesman. You know, the guy, like you said, I never heard of finance bro, but it makes sense. Like now I understand where you're going with that. To go like get the deal at all costs. I don't care if you have to tell him that you'll mow his grandma's lawn for 10 years. Get the deal at all costs. Fuck grandma. I'm just saying get the deal. And you're like, oh my God, that's what kind of guy is this? No
Yeah.
honor, no truth, no giving, only take. And I think that's what we're getting at is the concept of bad babe or boss bitch or whatever terms other people are using today falls into the same concept of selfish bad boy, not good man. And so which masculine are we emulating? These women are emulating the worst traits of boys and calling it masculinity, or they're in their masculine. But I'm like, you're in junior masculine. You're not in actual masculinity. You're in child development masculinity, not actual masculinity. And that's where the element of where, like, if you were to take all of these positive traits, remove a lot of these negative intentions, you'd be like, let's put together the loyalty, the caring, the empathizing, the servant mentality, the stability, the safety, the compromising or giving, and with boundaries, healthy boundaries, and putting good intentions, and with being confident, mysterious, taking risks, self-assured, having options, being uncontrollable because you do what is right instead of who is right, being strong or fearless, challenging and being disagreeable, being a man who's understands his worth and being worth pursuing while also having good intention to build and support others in their way, and take the good traits of both sides here and remove these toxic elements of both sides. And if you put them together, you start seeing what a good man looks like.
Going back to that boss babe being like a bad boy, like the equivalent of, do you think, because I have this idea, maybe I'm wrong about it, but I have this idea that a boss babe is like kind of repulsive to a good man. Like she can't get a good man.
Right.
Just like repulsed in the same way as a good man looks at a guy who's stuck in the bad boy
Yeah.
stage, where he's just like, this ain't the way, dude. You're
This
doing it all
child
wrong.
child behavior. Yeah. Yeah, you're doing child behavior. But also like the boss babe, what does she want her value to be measured on? Like if she wants to be chosen, let's say you know she wants a male to choose her, well what kind of guy would be attracted to this energy?
A very feminine guy.
Well, that's because that's the only one that she would allow close, because another guy who actually challenged and overpowered her with actual competency and bravado would be very intimidating, and so she would have to again remember the mask to overcompensate. Well, she wants her value to be measured on success, on conquest, on strength, on, you know, competency, on credential. You know, you're going to go off of a thing that's external or superficial to say, look how good I am. And if you're going to try and do that with somebody who actually has their shit together, it's going to expose how behind you are. And that doesn't feel good. So I need somebody who's going to act more like a cheerleading dependent. So that way they're just going to be a support element that I can take what I want from and then, you know, discard or get rid of later because I don't need them, versus somebody who would be like, you don't intimidate me at all, and I wouldn't follow you for anything because I don't think you know where you're going. I think you're just trying to get for yourself. And they'd be like, fuck you, you're a fucking asshole. You're just, and then go into whatever judgment. And this is why I love when Socrates says that when the debate is lost, slander becomes the language of the loser. And as soon as somebody goes, fuck you, you're a fucking asshole, which is slander, judgment. Fuck you, you're an asshole. And you're like, okay, we went to slander and judgment. You clearly have nothing here to offer. You lost any type of discord because you went right into, how do I tear you down? That means you got nothing left to work with. And so someone like that wouldn't be able to handle if somebody was confidently actually having their shit together in front of them. They wouldn't know what to do with it.
I think we actually saw some of that.
Oh, we've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which thing are you talking? I've seen it 100 times, so I don't know which one are you talking about.
I missed it the other night, but I don't know. So I can't say, but it sounded like you may have experienced that. Was it last night? I don't
Last
know. I
night? Oh no,
popped in
last night.
late.
It never went to slander last night, but it
Okay,
definitely
okay.
it definitely was over her head. We had a girl try and come in and ask questions to the guys, to see, like, because she had the impression that she's only met these bad boys, or not good, like,
Hmm.
not, she hasn't met any good men. And I said, come into our organization and ask questions, and very quickly you could see that she didn't understand how to even speak to good men, because these guys were asking questions like, well, I'd love to understand, and I'm interested to see, and we're not going to just concede or roll over because you have an experience or an accusation that doesn't connect to me. I just want to understand more. And the questions themselves, not even accusations or arguments, just the questions to, I'd like to hear and understand, was enough for it to unravel. There wasn't even any attacks. It's just the explanation given was also just falling apart on itself, and that was not very successful. I would love to have a woman who wants to ask a group of good men, like, questions to go, like, is this the difference between a bad boy or a nice guy or a good man? And our organization has have a lot of good men. Like, no, feel free to ask questions. We'll openly share with you. I'll tell you what we do. I'll give you the idea of what we believe our role or our responsibility and accountability is supposed to be as men. We are very solid with what our position is, and it's a very difficult and honorable job. And so we got into that, and you could clearly see she was unprepared for this conversation, because as soon as accountability came up, like, we know our job. Do you know what a woman's job for the relationship is? You have expectations for us. What is the expectations for yourself? And it went to crickets very quickly. And so that's where it was like, we don't know. And that's why you see the term thrown around very commonly right now, that men are taught how to treat a woman, but not what to expect from a woman. And a woman is taught what to expect from a man, but not how to treat a man. And that's kind of what exposed itself, is where when the guys were very confident in their selves and they knew themselves. I believe that a lot of girls over women, girls, wouldn't know what to do on a date with a guy who had his shit together. It would immediately be very different, because the guy doesn't have to do a resume sales pitch. You're being interviewed. I know my worth. I just am curious what value we bring to each other's life to make it so both of us are doing great. And if you think coming to the table to somebody who has their finances together, they're strong, they're capable, they're independent, they're autonomous, and they have their life in order in multiple categories, and they go, well, what do you bring to the table? And you bring more finances that I don't have access to. You have a credential I can't use at all, and you want to be measured off of something that you don't share. I'm going to be like, do you have anything that makes our life better together? Because I don't need your credentials. I don't need your money. I don't need any of the stuff you're bringing to the table. What value do you have that's not external or financial? What do you have that's you? What's a unique thing? And these women, well, the girls, I guess, who have put all of their things into bad babe or boss bitch or whatever you call the terms these days, um, they don't have an answer, because everything they've done is an external thing, just like a bad boy would be. And that means that they're essentially just stunted boys. And
Let me
there's,
ask you
uh,
something on this,
mhm,
because in like where we're at now, women are all getting more educated. They're
mhm,
getting into higher paying fields, and oftentimes, like in relationships, like women are making more money than men. And I think in your own relationship in the beginning, like that was the case, right?
yes, it was.
So how did you navigate that? Right, because a lot of guys make the mistake of thinking whoever makes the most money is the leader, right? Right, that's who's in charge. That's who makes all the decisions on it. So, like, What would you say to a guy that's in that position, or how did you navigate that yourself?
I think that the problem on that one isn't the guy. Maybe him not being able to be direct enough in what his role is for leadership and where do I want to take the family and how do I take my security elements of mind, heart, body, spirit into the family. Finances is just money. And so that's just one tiny piece out of like even 8 categories, and so it's just one of them. And if you guys think that the value of the person themselves is just financial, we talked about emotional currency and financial currency. Well, where's the emotional currency if you're the finance or the financial provider? Andrea didn't grow up with a father. He left when she was 6, and her ex also mimicked a lot of behaviors of her dad, and so she had to do a lot of the take care of everything. So she had, as her personality type, she became very work oriented, and her identity for safety and security only came from I have to be a financial provider. Well, because she always had to be that provider element, she had the same mindset as men because men are natural givers. And so when she had the finances to give to others, we had no expectation or restriction. And so she would give freely without saying, since I have given my money, now you owe me. She didn't have any of that. And I actually really do want her to teach this to modern women, because modern women still have the receive element built into them, but now are able to do provision. And this is where there needs to be a shift in mentality to say, I can provide, thus now I give, instead of I provide, why should I give to you? And this is one of those things where they're not natural givers. That's why you see a dynamic where the man will work full time, the woman will work part time, and his money is her money, and her money is her money. And you're like, wait a second, if we're both able to bring to the pot and make life better for both, why is yours yours and mine yours? And why does he not complain as much about giving way more to her than she's making, and she feels obligated and or like I deserve his? But if he asks for hers, not happening. Not going to happen. And these guys today, I think today the guys are exposing this weakness within the women's psyche to go, you're actually not a giver. And if you want to be a provider, you have to have a giving mindset. And so I would watch guys do shit tests, which, listen, that's a debatable whether it's healthy or unhealthy, but I would watch guys do shit tests. So I saw a guy who was taking care of this girl for like 5 years. She lived with him in his place. He paid all of the bills, paid for everything, paid for her schooling, took care of everything for her while she got her stuff together. And then finally she graduated, got her degrees, got her certificates, got all of her stuff. And she's sending him a text message, and she was like, I got it. I got a job for 75K. I have something that's mine. Thank you so much. I got it. And he's like, oh, thank God. He said, thank God, I'm so proud of you, and that's so good. Now I have to take a break because carrying all of the weight for the last 5 years at a job that I work at that is very, very stressful has taken a mental toll on me, and I need to work on my mental health. He's like, let me take a month, 2 tops. I already got another job lined up, but I have to leave this place, and then I have to take a month or 2 for my mental health. I have to reset because I am destroyed from carrying everything at this place. It has ruined who I am. And she's like, wait a second, what are you doing? You're leaving your job? Wait a second, you make 6 figures. Why would you ever have to do that? You don't have to do that. He's like, no, babe, you have enough now that you can support us for a couple months. Let me work on my mental health so I can be okay. I'm not all right. I'm pushing depression. I'm really suffering and struggling from how demanding this job is. And I need to get a different job. This one is hurting me. And she's like, no, you can't leave your job. We're not doing that. I didn't sign up for that. He's like, it's only for a couple months. You just take the bills for a couple months, and then I got another job lined up, and I'll take that. I'll take over again. I just need you to support me for a couple months. She's like, I'm not doing that. You better not quit your job. He's like, listen, this is very serious to me. If I were to rely on you, are you in or out? And she's like, I'm out. He's like, all right. He's like, your stuff is going to be outside the door when you get home. She's like, excuse me? He's like, I'm not leaving my job. I'm totally fine. I just wanted to see who you were if you had money. And as soon as you had the upper hand, you wouldn't take care of me, but I've been taking care of you for 5 years. Engagement off, your stuff will be out front. It just showed her mentality was, I deserve for you to give to me. But once she was able to provide, and he just said, just take a little bit. Just hold me a little bit. She immediately said, as soon as I have to take care of you, I'm done. I'm out. Where is the concept of now you have the education, now you have the provision, now you can support, now you can bring some in, now your contribution is coming in, but the mentality is not to give, it's to still receive and have for yourself. And the self-preservation element of mine is mine to make sure I'm okay has no concept of autonomy for the male, nor any empathy for what he has to go through in order for her to have. That still is yours is mine. Mine is mine. The healthy version is what we make is ours. And women have to shift from the receive element, which has worked for many generations of I hunt and gather, I bring it home, she receives and she distributes. That was working very well for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Now it's changed where now she can hunt and gather, I can hunt and gather, and now we can bring it home and let's go ahead and delegate to the family. There has to be a double give. We have to go into giving. And this is where I say the maturity of a good woman and a good man is men and women are givers, boys and girls are takers. And don't think because your age makes you a man or woman, because I know grown people who are very boy or girl-ish and still have these behaviors we're talking about. So just because someone is grown doesn't mean they have grown. Just because someone is grown doesn't mean they have grown. A lot of people don't start doing personal developments until their 40s or even 60s.
Yeah, age does not always lead to wisdom.
Yeah. And so this is where we're going. Well, did you ever shift to giver? And if you're still a taker, this is where those women will severely suffer when it comes to any dynamic, because hypergamy will come in. And as soon as they start seeing that finances is a measurement of value instead of values are a measurement of value, well, then they'll think that they're better than him and think they can always do better. And this is a very, very toxic thought process because it kills love based on money. And this is where women need to evolve. If you're able to provide, what kind of provider are you? It's like, I only provide for my self-preservation. I don't provide for my people.
So your situation, so what you're saying with this, your situation because of who Andrea is totally different than a lot of guys because she is a giver. Like she's already figured that out.
She had to become the male concept or male mentality
Right.
because she didn't have a male that showed her this level of take care of her. Now, don't get me mixed up, because women who grow up without fathers or have father issues don't know how to respect a man. And so that
Yeah, yeah.
was our thing, because now if she was the provider, but she also didn't know how to respect a man, that was a big battle for us. But she also,
What did that look like?
that was a big fight for us because there's an element of surrender that has to happen in the relationship to trust each other. And if you don't surrender that element to the person that you're with to go, this person really does have me, it doesn't matter how good the person you're with. Just like we talked about the blocking of emotional currency. If someone said, dude, you're so fucking smart, you're so handsome, and you're like, no, I'm not. Nope, I won't accept that. And they call it a protection system when really it's more of a prison system. And this is where like people think they're safe by walling themselves off and blocking everybody. So you can't hurt me. You can't get me. And if you want to be nice to me, or if you want to get close to me, you got to go through the front gate and they pat you down and go through the metal detectors and then do a lie detector test and then do 100-point quiz. And then you have to go and do a therapy session and a psych evaluation. And then you have to go to the room where you have to sit in the waiting room. And then we let you in where there's the booth with the window, but you got to talk through the phone. So you can't get to me still. And even still, if you can make it through all of that and you tell me something kind, I probably won't believe you anyways. And we call that protection. Then I'm like, it sounds like prison. It doesn't sound like protection. It sounds like a prison system. That doesn't sound like armor. It doesn't sound like security. It doesn't sound like self-awareness. It doesn't sound like anything beneficial. It sounds like you can't accept anything because you need to control everything. And this is going to make it so they can't accept even the respect of a good man or even know what that means because everything looks bad if I live in prison. And that's what it was. No matter how good I was to her, it was always going to be with some sort of, you're just trying to do this thing from my past. You're just trying to get away with something from the past. You're just trying to do something. And because she wasn't able to recognize her past wounds, her insecurities, her fears, or even how she's creating judgments and assumptions, no matter what I did was going to be a problem. And it wasn't until we really hit like a rock bottom of that doesn't work that she started being accountable to herself to go, damn, I am doing this. And once she stopped adding to what I was saying and saw who I really was, then we were able to grow like rocket ships, and the connection grew. But it's when we remove control and we leave prison that you're actually able to enjoy walking through the meadow with someone that you love for connection. So that was the big part of it. She had to surrender all of her fears, insecurities, all of her stuff from her past to be able to see who I am in the present. And how I am is who I am. And she was able to start recognizing that who I was is not who I am. And that made it so we could find each other again and accept each other and then grow with each other instead of control each other. And that's
Mm,
changed everything.
yeah.
So,
What was there something like during that process? Was there something like on your end as well where it was like you had to tap into? Because I've heard you talk about the hard side stuff
mhm.
and everything, and now you're really diving deep into that. Was like that part of the thing that you had to do, like to kind of meet each other in the middle and then take off?
Yes, it's such a good question. Yeah. I had to also surrender heart and spirit side. And also I let God lead on me, which was my path. You guys can choose whatever relationship is, because God's relationship, not religion. So it's not my church told me. It's I opened up my spirit to God. I did it in my bedroom. So I didn't have to go to church for that. It was in my room where I was like, God, I'm gonna open up to you. Having God lead, and then me having the courage to open my heart side up and work through the heartbreaks, the abandonments, the damage that had been done, the hurt child stuff, the wounded relationship or wounded romantic. I had to work through all these heart elements. And I'll tell you, like some of our guys, because remember we suppress emotion, opening heart side was kind of like an episode of Hoarders. And it was like, this place is a fucking disaster. And you're like, I'm just so scared to get rid of everything because this place is it's so painful, you know? And so I couldn't tell the difference between like garbage and like good furniture. I couldn't tell the difference. They're like, hey, are you going to keep this? This thing's kind of fucked. It's got rat shit all over it. Looks like there's pee on it. And you're like, I could sell that. It's still good. I could sell that. It's like, no, that's garbage. You got to throw that away. And so in that area, I had to do a lot of work to also get rid of a lot of my old stuff and learn how to grieve effectively and work through it. By doing that, it meant that her surrendering her insecurities, her fears, and being able to have faith in me, I was able to also have a bowl that could receive her love without it pouring out like a strainer. So I had to work on myself to be strong enough to be able to handle her love. And then once I could hold her love and she could hold my love, the heart side element really made it so our connection could happen. And it's not a physical thing. It's not like I love her for her boobies or her butt. No, I love her for her heart because I can feel it. I love her for her effort because I can praise and connect to it. I love it for our connections because together we have purpose. And I start finding things that are in there that aren't superficial. I find the values that I surrender myself to, and I serve her as my good guy trait. But I'm also very disagreeable and confident in the fact that if it's something that goes against our pack or hurts our family, I'm going to do what is right, not who is right. So her hurt feelings don't guide me, but I will be there to support her through working through her hurt feelings. And that's where I created safety, security. That heart side was incomplete. So she was building the straw wall on the heart side. So while I had physical protection, financials, I worked on my finances and I was doing better. I'm doing better than her. So that's not an issue anymore. So like, you know, mind and body are solid. I got spirit side solid. It was heart side that was missing. And so since she no longer had to build heart side wall and I was safe for her to share with because I could handle the truth now, and she needed to learn to handle the truth, As the man, I teach my men we go first. If I want her to get good at truth, I need to be good at truth. And if she shares difficult information with me, I need to be responsive, not reactive. And being able to be safe on all four sides then made it so I could do the good guy thing, not the nice guy thing, which is when a girl says, I need space. A lot of us guys think what we would do is if I need space, well, then get out of here and go do whatever you're going to do. With women, I need space doesn't mean push me out the door and leave me out to the wild. I need spaces. I've given you the four walls of mind, heart, body, spirit are solid masonry. The wind, the weather, the wolves, they're not going to get you. Inside this area, that's your space. Now you can work on your stuff and not have to worry about all the things that you have to control outside of here. Inside here, this is your space. Now, important fellas, inside that space, you don't fix her shit. Don't fix her shit. Your job is to structure. She makes it a home, so she'll work on her things in there. But as long as she doesn't have to do our job for structure, then she can create nurture. And this means she can release the fears and the insecurities and the past that she tries to throw in your face, the past wounds. And there's no need for judgment. Now we work into acceptance because I've got you, babe. You're covered. Now work on your stuff so you're good. And now together we're better. And that gets into when relationships are together, the goal of a relationship baseline is that it's better being together than if we weren't at all. And if there's any element of I'm operating in a deficit where it's worse being with me than if you were with nobody, I'm doing a bad job in relationship. And I don't think that a lot of people have really done an assessment of, am I really sitting here with burdens or am I, actually coming here with blessings, And I don't think people can tell the difference between like a burden versus a benefit. I don't think they can tell the difference. And so this is a very difficult challenge for people is like, are you calling your burdens a benefit? Well, I got 3 kids and she or he better love my kids or else I won't, they better take care of them. They better or else. And I'm like, you really think that somebody volunteering to raise another person's child and give their resources, their heart, their home, their everything to people that you can just take out of their life at any point and they can't do a fucking thing about it, you're going to call raising another person's child benefit or else? Like that's a bargaining chip that you get to play? That's burden. That's baggage. I don't think you're putting this in the right category. And I think this is where people don't actually assess what are they really bringing to the table here. They just have expectations of what people should do without ever doing an assessment of what is it that I bring as a value that's not external, but it's going to actually be values instead of high value. And so there's a really funny element there, but that's a long answer, I know, but it gave like kind of a playful story answer to how did we
No,
figure out?
listen, it's when it comes to relationships, there's not a quick answer.
Yeah, it's
There,
true.
there never is, man. Like we always want it. Like, give me the A, B, C, D. Like, give me these steps. I'll do that, and then it's over. Like, I'm good. We're done. Like, that's just not how
well,
it works.
well, I could say it shortly, but it'll miss the teaching element of the purpose of why I speak how I speak. So I could be like, yeah, she had to surrender and I had to surrender and now we're solid. And you're like, well, technically, right, but I don't know how to do it. So that's an answer, not a solution. And that makes it very
Yeah.
difficult. You're like, yeah, what did you guys do? We both got really good at solving Rubik's Cubes. And so now it's solved. And you're like, so the answer looks like this. And that's what it looks like. And people are like, wow, I want a solved cube. And you're like, that's not how you solve it. That's just what it looks like when it's solved. That's what we did is we solved our cube. Correct answer, not usable for transformation. So
Yeah.
that's why I speak the way I speak. It's deliberate.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful, man. I love what you said about, like building that walled garden for her to operate and grow in and not having this belief of like I can fix her or I should fix her or I will fix her because I always a lot of the nice guys have that white knight thing, right? I can fix her. I can when someone tries to fix you, how does that come off? To me, when someone tries to fix me, I'm feeling judged, right? Like I'm feeling like so you don't think I'm enough, right? That's the
Or
feeling
capable.
that I get.
Yeah, you need me because you're incapable.
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't come
Exactly.
off as not very knightly. It comes off, yeah,
No,
judgmental.
that's how they're going to perceive it every time, where it's like, okay, clearly you don't think I'm doing a very good job.
Yeah,
I'm not enough.
yeah. And I have to save you from yourself. Just move. I'll do it for you. Just move. I'll do it for you. There's a heavy curse that's inside of this. It's a codependency curse. And you see people who find people who maybe aren't doing as well or figuring things out, and they go, well, let me do it for you, so you need me. And actually you shouldn't be talking to anybody else, because I should be all that you need, and I've got this for you, and I'll just take care of you, and let me take care of you, and you're really great. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. Just, I'll give you the world, and I'll take care of everything, and let's just move into get with each other for the first month, because I love you so much, and I'll do anything for you. And your parents are kind of jerks, and they don't like me. So I think they're not understanding that I'm going to give you the greatest life in the world, and it's going to be so good, and everything's going to be amazing. And you and I are going to take over the world, and it's going to be the best because I'll take care of everything for you, until you're all alone, until you're all by yourself, and it's just you and me. And now I'm
Yeah.
your only support.
Ugh.
And then the truth will come out. And by then you're isolated. I think we've seen a lot
Yeah.
of this behavior that happens. It does start mimic narcissistic behavior. You start seeing people who isolate people to get anything that they want. And that's where you have to be able to discern the mask of the giver to be the taker. And it's not as common. You are talking about like maybe 1 in 100 people are this, but it's unfortunate that you're seeing this behavior escalate much quicker today in the female society. Social media has created a lot more of this take behavior, with justification. And I do believe a big part of it is because good women stopped checking bad women.
Yeah.
They stopped
Yeah. So,
checking, they started glorifying bad behavior. And I think good women have to start checking bad women, just like you see good men checking bad boys and nice guys.
yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. That's got to be a big part of the solution, because
Yeah.
it doesn't come off very well when we check the women. It doesn't work
Well,
in
it,
the same way. I don't know that it's as effective, or even like the right way to go about it.
if it goes to that point, it's not going to be good
Yeah,
for both
exactly.
sides. It's going to be a lose-lose scenario. It's going to be
Yeah,
one of those things that if they push the limits so far into equality, where it's really just a 50-50, well, then equal fights, equal rights, like, let's go. And then it's no longer male, woman, get boy, girl. It's just going to be person A, person B. And I did a whole training on 50-50 because I had a lady say that guys aren't doing their half. And I was like, let's look at what half means. And I did a live, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people just commenting while we were doing this live, and I was reading the list of if everything's 50-50, equal courts, equal fights. I was going down equal, you have to pull your weight, equal job distribution. I went 50-50 everything down the list. And there's a couple of things that, like, hey, work in women's favor a little bit, but the vast majority makes their life way harder, like much, much harder. And at the end of it, the guys would feel bad if the women were doing what we had to do. And the women are like, I don't want any part of I don't want to fix the car or the roof. I don't want to do any of that shit. I don't have to build all the IKEA shit. I don't want to do any of that. And the women who do it usually come from, like I said, those homes where, like, very rarely do they have a good man to be able to support or be there for them. They had to become proficient because of maybe poverty or because of difficult dynamics in the family. And so those are different things, but that can still be a benefit. Just people don't use it necessarily that way today. They use it judgmentally. So
yeah.
it's a really tricky scenario. But if it comes down to the point where women aren't checking women and guys go, all right, our gentleman thing isn't working anymore, we can let's all just fight each other again. Women won't like how that goes. If it just
Well,
turns into person A, person B, that'll last all of 2 weeks.
I think it's just coming to a point where, like, good men and good women need to step up and, like, be more vocal, really. Because there's a lot of people on the extremes
Yeah.
that are very vocal and like very much in the limelight because of how the algorithms work, and how that type of behavior on the extremes gets more views, and then people are starting to kind of accept some of these ideas that they're putting out there just because they have followers, or money or power of some kind, right?
Well, I think you said the answer in it though. I don't think people are not being vocal. I just don't think that the balanced answer is going to get as many views as an extreme answer.
Right. Right.
You know, so somebody who goes like, no, listen to him, listen to her, and then you guys have no reason to fight. You just understand and or disagree. Like, it's not very sensational. What about this one? I think we should be stabbing each other. And you're like, yeah, I'm watching this crazy shit. You know, like we
Yeah,
need
if
to
you get
kick in
pulled
the
in on
nuts. And you're like, oh, kick in the nuts. You know, that's crazy, you know. And so people will watch the sensationalism far more than the balance. And um, you know, we become what we think about the most. And if we just see sensational behavior, it becomes common and normal. And the idea of finding true balance or enlightenment seems, I don't know, esoteric or Buddhist or nonsensical and wishy-washy or fairy tale. And you're like, can't really use that shit. That doesn't exist. But I can kick in the nuts. Can't really work with that.
That is kind of how it goes, though. I think I'm gonna have to hop in 5 minutes, but I think you're right. Where a lot of people sometimes look at our perspective, or they look at like what they really want. They want to be in a relationship with a good woman,
Mm-hmm.
but they have trouble believing that it can even happen. They have trouble because of
Yeah.
the perception of everything on social media. They get this belief of like, there aren't any good ones left anymore. So, like, what's the point of all this?
They are out there. There are places that I like with. I know where there are good women, and if I had to say the assessment today, why it's so difficult, it's going to be the 20% to 15% are still there's good women out there. They just don't play where all the other ladies are because even they're annoyed by the women's behavior, so they stay away from conniving and backstabbing and two-facing, and they stay away from bad behavior, so they won't be wrapped up in the traditional areas that people congregate. And so you'll find good women doing good women stuff. And there's a lot of guys. That's why we train our men to move themselves up into being good men. And then they'll find themselves doing good men behavior where there's good women behavior. And then you'll find yourself finding people with common interests of growth, understanding connection, being well trained and knowing thyself. And I think that if you're trying to shop at your level, but you're unhealthy, you'll find the unhealthy ones. And if you're basing it off of superficial values instead of actual values, you're going to find the unhealthy ones. But you've got a 2 out of 10 chance to find a decent one if you're just going off of law of averages. And then within that two, you got to find one that's actually a match for your guys' goals and connections. And that can also be very complicated too. So they exist. There are good women, and they do exist. There are good men. We train men to be good men. They exist, but they're not going to be where all the bad ones play because
They're
good people don't
uncommon.
hang out with the bad places. They don't hang out with the bad people,
Yeah.
you know, so they exist. It's just my goal, and this is where you and I are working so hard with Crown and Shield, is come and train so you can learn how to take the good traits of bad boys, good traits of nice guys. We train you how to find the balance of good man, and the more you raise your values, the more you'll find women with similar values. But if you're trying to go into the rescues or lost and found and try and find something premium, you're probably just going to find some of the throwaways or the busted ones, and you're going to wonder, why am I finding the ones who are not okay? It's like, well, because you're probably most likely not okay too. Let's get you okay so you guys can both find a match that's at each other's level for values, not just value externally.
Yeah.
So
You
that's why I
attract
say,
what you are at the end of the day. Yep.
yeah, come and hang out with JR and myself. If you guys made it this far, first off, let me just point out this was normally me asking the questions. JR, you are a fantastic host. You ask great questions. It's nice to be on the other end of now I'm being interviewed, and I think that you took a control on that and did a very good job. Um, Gotta honor you for that. You're very, very good at that. So appreciate you. Well
Well,
done.
you're incredible at doing the teachings and answering the questions, man. So I'm happy to do it.
This is cool. We did a switch on the show. It's really nice. I like it. And yeah, it's very cool. Thank you for what you shared. And guys, come and hang out with both JR and myself. We do work together often. Join our Discord community, the Kings community and the Warriors Way mindset. And we also have a mentor area that we both operate out of. And so if you want to train with us, we train twice a week, 2 with me, 2 with JR. Come and train with us and we will help you guys go from nice guy to good man or bad boy to good man. And we'll meet each other in the middle and we'll show you how to do it the fast way. So you don't have to just keep falling on your face and ruining relationships to get it right. So come and join in our communities. You'll see the links in all the bios and all the stuff that we have on these videos and on these calls. But thanks for hanging out with us on the battlefield of mind. JR, anything you want to throw out there before we leave?
Dude, yeah, you guys aren't meant to do this alone. So if you're struggling, come join the Brotherhood. I promise you won't regret it. It'll probably be the best thing you ever did. So looking forward to seeing some more guys pop in there and train with us.
Hell yeah. All right, brother. Go have fun. I'll see you later.
All right.